Alright, so let us look at the second question. The second question is question B. Solution. You have question B to be 2x squared plus 9x equal to 6. So what I will do here is this equation needs to be rearranged. So if I rearrange it, it becomes 2x squared plus 9x minus 6. If you take this here, it becomes negative, equal to 0. So it is properly arranged now. It's looking like a quadratic equation, as you can see on the board. Remember, we are asked to look for the sum and the product of root of the equation. So obviously you know that the coefficient of x squared here is 2. So I'm going to divide through by 2. So if I divide through by 2, I have 2x squared over 2 plus 9x over 2 minus 6 over 2 equal to 0. 2 cancel 2, and I have x squared plus 9 over 2 minus 6 over 2 is what? 3 equal to 0. Now, remember that the equation for constructing a quadratic equation is x squared minus sum of roots, which is alpha plus beta x, plus the product, which is alpha beta, equal to 0. If we compare this particular expression and this together now, we're going to have that our alpha, which is the sum of the roots, alpha plus beta, which is known as minus b over a, will be equal to it will just give us b over a there. If you compare these two things, you find out that your sum of the roots is already what? Your alpha plus beta is 9 over 2, which is equal to minus b over a. Alpha plus beta is equal to your minus b over a is 9 over 2. Remember when I showed you x squared plus b over a x then plus c over a equal to 0. So looking at this relationship, if you equate this to this, you find out that your what? Your 9 over 2 is like your what? Is your b over a. So if I slot it into this place, I have minus 9 over 2. So that's the sum of the roots. Then let us talk about the product of the roots, which is alpha beta. So the product of the roots, which is alpha beta, is actually equal to c over a. And if you look at this relationship here, if you compare it with this, what you have here, you find out that your c over a is equal to minus 3. So that means my alpha beta is equal to what? Because my c over a is obviously minus 3. So that gives me minus 3. So that is the product of the root and the sum of the root of that equation. And I believe that this is well explained to you. So if you see any question on sum of roots and product of roots, you should be able to solve them without any problems. I'm going to give you one more example, which is example 1.7, which talks about find the equation whose sum and product of roots are respectively a minus 5, 6, and then b 1.5, minus 1.2. So we are going to see how we can actually find the equation whose roots are given as that. So let us see how that particular example can be solved. The second example talks about finding the equation when the roots are given. So you are looking for the equation. Now you are given the roots, but you want to find the equation. So now let us see. Remember, I told you initially when I started this class about construction of quadratic equation. I told you that the formula for constructing a quadratic equation is on the board here. X squared minus sum of root x plus product equal to 0. So let us use this formula now to actually get the equation we are looking for now. So you can see that all these formulas I'm giving you, they are so important. So you need to know them very well, because each of them will be useful based on the kind of question you are asked to do. So now, looking at this first question, let us see solution to question A. We have the roots are, we have minus 5, 6. So now the formula I told you about is x squared minus bracket sum of root x plus product equal to 0. So now let us look for the sum of the roots which was given to us. Let us look for the sum of the roots. Sum of the roots is what? Sum of roots, which is alpha plus beta, is equal to what? So your alpha is -5 and your beta is 6, okay? From what we are given so far there. So that means if I put my alpha to be -5 now and take my beta to be 6, and I have what? -5 plus 6. Because obviously you know that the sum of roots is alpha plus beta. So it's just for you to add them. So if you add this -5 plus 6, -5 plus 6 will obviously give you what? We give you 1. So you get 1, because it's just like when you say -5 plus 6, it's still the same thing as saying 6 minus 5, which is 1. So the sign of the 6 still remains plus and the sign of the 5 still remains negative. So that is 1. So that is the sum of the roots. Now let us get the product of the root now. Product. The product of the roots is what? Alpha beta. Remember your alpha is -5 and your beta is what? 6. What is product? Product means multiplying two values, which is alpha and beta. Remember the roots given to us, they are -5 times 6. Obviously, -5 times 6 will give you what? -30. Okay, so that is the product of the roots. So if I take this sum of roots, slot it into this formula here. Anywhere I see sum of roots, I'll put 1 there. And anywhere I see product of roots, I'll put -30 there. My equation now becomes what? Equation becomes x squared minus, what is the sum of the roots? 1. Obviously, you know that 1 times x will give you x. In mathematics, when you have 1x, there's no point putting the 1. It's the same thing as what? X. The product of the roots is -30. And there's a positive sign here. So the negative overshadows the positive, because minus times plus is what? Minus. So let us just do it gently. So let the plus still be there. Into bracket -30 equal to what? 0. So for our final answer now becomes x squared minus x plus times minus is what? -30 equal to 0. So this is the equation we are talking about. Okay, so this is how we can actually get the equation we are talking about for that example 1.7. So you can see how I did it. It's so easy, it's so clear, very easy to understand. So this is how to actually evaluate that question. So we are going to look at the second question, which is the B part. Okay, all right, so let us look at the second example, which is the roots given to us are 1.5 and -1.2. So let us see how we can actually solve that question. Solution for question B. Okay, now the roots are 1.5 -1.2. So now let us first of all remember our formula on the board. Let's just go directly to get the sum of the roots. Sum of roots, which is alpha plus beta, is equal to what? 1.5 plus -1.2, because you see that this is negative. So that gives us what? Plus times minus here gives us minus. So this becomes 1.5 minus 1.2. And 1.5 minus 1.2 will give you what? So that gives us 0.3. So now, from that, let us now get our product of roots. Product, which is alpha beta, will just give us 1.5 multiplied by -1.2. Let us use our calculator to do that. 1.5 times -1.2, that gives us -1.8. You can see the result on the board. So let us fix what we have gotten into this our formula back. So we have, remember the formula is x squared minus, what is the sum of the root that we obtained? We got 0.3 for the sum of the root. So that will be bracket 0.3 x plus the product. The product is what? we got minus 1.8. So I'll put it into a bracket, minus 1.8 equal to 0. Finally, our quadratic equation now becomes x squared minus 0.3x plus times minus here gives us minus 1.8 equal to 0. So this is our quadratic expression. I believe you understand how to find an equation when you are given the root of that equation, and how you can actually find the sum and product of a quadratic equation when the equation is given to you. You can actually find the sum and the product of the root. So the next thing we are going to talk about is word problem leading to quadratic equation. Alright, I'm going to give you some questions that you need to practice or do on your own when you are less busy at home, so you can actually play with them. It's going to help you to improve your skills on how to construct quadratic equation. The questions will be on the board right now. So, like I said, these are the questions I said I'm going to give you to do as assignment, or you can play with them so that when you solve more questions, you get more used to how you can actually construct a quadratic equation when you are given the roots, and when you are given the equation, you are told to look for the sum and the product of the roots. The first question there is like the example 1 we did, and the second one is like the example 2 we did. So if you have understood what I did in the class for example 1 and 2, so the same question applies to this particular drill you have on the board. So please do them. If there's any problem, let me know and I'll do them for you, okay?